Hey, and a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle Weather Studios in Inlet Beach. Weather Cat is like about 3 feet away that way in my chair, so I'm standing. Meteorologist Dan Nyman is catless over on the other side of the bridge in Panama City. How are we doing today?
Let's get that on. Well, we still have rain coming down at my house here. That last little band kind of moving through along 231 right now, but not looking forward to briefly colder temperatures. Fortunately, briefly is kind of the key word for us here, Chris, as we get closer to the weekend.
Yeah, it's already down to, let's see, it's probably upper 50s at your house, and it's like mid 50s in Destin, and then 40s all the way over towards Baldwin County in Alabama. That's that one just on the other side of Mobile here. And so the cold air is returning, but as you mentioned, it will be brief at least. And so we will at least only have to deal with it for 1 day and 2 nights.
Yeah.
Yep.
This weekend is going to be a forgotten memory, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking pretty good. You know, this morning, the rain kind of moved in fast and furious across our area, and we had some gorgeous rainbow pictures this morning. So we had some sunlight, and then we got the rain, and that gave us Kynard there, Miss Jennifer, our friends at Mid-South Lumber in Panama City. You see the nice arching rainbow there, and you can see a little bit more evident that definitely there was daylight out there at the time of this picture. As far as when I say daylight, sunlight. Kathy Morrison over into Panama City and looking out towards Redfish Point there. As you look out towards the south, you can definitely see the sunshine in abundance there. And the Yoopers, look at that one. We got it from beginning to end. Now, the Gulf is pretty cold, and it was pretty rough. I'm not sure who was swimming out there to look for the pot of gold, but maybe the better opportunity was over here to find that, and that was this morning. We also had some ominous clouds moving through northwest Florida. As we look over into Panama City Beach, you can see the shelf cloud that was visible. Austin and Joseph capturing that as it passed on by their vantage point. And then this evening, we had mostly cloudy skies, and David's like, this is going to be a dud of a sunset. We'll think again. Look at the sunset tonight. Man, Ernie out on the west end of the beach. Looking, this is the outfall from Lake Powell there, and looking towards Walton County. And he was treated to a spectacular sunset this evening after what was looking like a dud. Miss Sherry up into Freeport, capturing a little bit of that sunlight sneaking underneath those clouds there over into Walton County. We'd love to see your sunset photos, and you can share them with us on the Panhandle Weather app. It's free in the iTunes App Store as well as the Google Play Store. So let's talk a little bit about what's been happening this evening. You can still see as you look farther to the west in Destin, there's some little bit of daylight still sneaking on through as of this 6:09 this evening. Meanwhile, as you look over into Panama City, the sun has gone to bed, but you can still see things are pretty quiet. Winds are still out of the south in Panama City, but they will begin to turn out of the north, and you see our temperature 58 over 57 is your dew point. So it feels a little bit soupy out there with that southerly wind. But again, this is all going to be changing here in just a little bit. Over into Sharky's there, 58 degrees, south wind at 7 miles an hour. And you can see a little bit of that daylight sneaking on through. Dan was talking about a little bit of rainfall over in his neck of the woods. And you can see there's that last little batch that's making its way through like Sneads and Grand Ridge down through Altha. North Florida, Motorplex, seeing a little bit of rainfall. Deer Point Lake, a little bit of rain. And that's kind of the last little batch of those showers there right along Highway 90 and extending down into Calhoun County. But you can see Grand Ridge, it's raining right now. Mariana, Greenwood, Malone. I will be in Malone and Cottondale tomorrow, speaking to schools. And they are all dry. But it will certainly be turning cooler overnight. There are those showers passing along the 231 corridor, just made their way through Lynn Haven, over towards Bayou George, and the rainfall continues to slide east across the Big Bend of Florida and over towards Lake City this evening. Now, rainfall totals ended up actually not too far from what we thought. We thought there would be kind of a swath of rainfall from the coast up through the 231 corridor. And for the most part, we saw that. But on either ends, there's some folks that are kind of disappointed with the rainfall, from 1/10 to 2/10 towards Pensacola, and 3/10 of rain a little bit east of the Apalachicola River. In particular, the heaviest rainfall totals you see over into South Walton. I had about a ½ inch of rain from the first batch at my house. And honestly, shame on me, I haven't gone outside to check the second batch, but I feel pretty confident that I was over an inch of rainfall overall. And you can see 1.3 there was the estimate, 0.6 on the west end of the beach. But I mean, ½ inch to 6/10 of an inch of rain, we'll go ahead and take it. Maybe not exactly where we wanted to be, but there was another little swath through central Walton up into Holmes and Jackson counties that picked upwards of about a 4/10 to about 7/10 of an inch of rainfall. So again, not all of us happy, but rarely is that the case that we're all happy. Temperatures right now falling back down through the 50s across our region, and you see temperatures compared to 24 hours ago. You see what's going on here. Look at the temperatures. 9 degrees, 7 degrees, 5 degrees cooler. Still a little bit warmer to the east, but that cold air is going to win out as these winds turn out of the north and west. And you see that already with the winds now turning northwest over towards Destin and Inlet Beach into Funiac Springs. To talk more about the colder weather moving in tonight, we go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yep, I think at this point, cold is probably a bad word here on the channel. A lot of folks, like Eric here mentioning, is tired of the cold, and I think we are here too at Panhandle weather, but this time around, not nearly as bad, not lasting as long either. Temperatures tonight, back down into the 30s, though. We'll see about 34, 35 up along I-10, closer to the upper 30s, maybe just holding on to 40 degrees right along the immediate coastline, but it'll be a chilly way to get the morning started as you look at Gulf Breeze at 38 degrees, go a little north to Pensacola, 34 degrees to start off tomorrow morning. Head across Bay County, South Walton into Calhoun or Gulf County. You're down into the mid-30s once you get on the north side of the bays, and you'll see here, generally scattered between 38, 39 degrees along the coast. Here's our 40s. Indian Pass, Cape San Blas, St. George Island still stay in the lower 40s there. And then, of course, you get on the other side of the bridge and you're back down 37 degrees in Apalachicola. Up towards Tallahassee, you're into the mid to upper 30s, and then a little cooler as you get towards the tri-state Jackson County. 35 to 36 is a good bet for a low temperature with wind chills in the 20s. Up across I-10 through Holmes and into Washington County, northern Walton County as well. We're not going to see a freeze, but it will feel like freezing early tomorrow morning. Temperatures drop down on the feels like scale to about 25 or 26 degrees as you head out early tomorrow morning. Futurecast showing you at least sunshine returning as you get through Thursday, although that sunshine will be a cool sunshine as you got a few cloud streaks showing up on the model there out across the Gulf. We'll be back to completely sunny skies by 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, and it will stay chilly throughout the day as well. You'll see here about 6 o'clock, completely cloud-free as those exit towards the east coast across the Atlantic, and we should stay that way until about midday Friday with a few cirrus clouds returning in across our skies. So, of course, temperatures cool tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, we should bounce around the 50s and then see the coldest night from this cool down on Friday morning. From there, temperatures should be a lot more bearable across the Panhandle, I'd say, Chris. This weekend, sunshine, temperatures climbing back up inside of the 60s at first, maybe 70s for Sunday. It's a welcome treat after several consecutive weekends that were problems for all sorts of reasons. Snow, severe weather, and then extreme cold last weekend.
Yep, and there you go. There's Weather Cat is in my chair, and Dan's chair currently unoccupied. So there you go. Yeah. But yeah, I think, we can deal with this cold weather. We're going to talk in a minute about the fact that tomorrow night will actually be below freezing for a decent number of us across the area. It won't be a hard freeze, nothing like what we saw, but it definitely will be below freezing. But once we get through Friday morning, candy bar the door. We have some spring fever on the way, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute.
We're proud to bring you the most popular cars in the world, like the stylish Camry and the sporty Corolla. Get award-winning style and 2.99% APR on a new Camry, named the best new model by Kelley Blue Book. Plus, you get 90 days until you make your first payment. curb appeal comes standard on the new Corolla. Designed to wow from the inside out. Get 2.99% APR plus 90 days until your first payment. Panama Toyota, your Camry and Corolla headquarters.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. With professional-grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
When it comes to building, local experience matters. At Mid-South Lumber, our team knows the job, and we'll help you get it right the first time. From weekend DIY projects to full custom builds, you'll get solid materials, fair prices, and service you won't find at a big box store. That's why we're the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City. Mid-South Lumber. Shop local. Build with confidence. Let's quote your next project.
Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
Well, welcome back. Meteorologist Dan Nyman joining you from Panama City. Chris over in the main studio in Inlet Beach as we talk once again about cooling temperatures heading through the next, call it 48 hours. Things shouldn't be cold for long, but it certainly will be briefly cold after the rainfall that moved through today. Real soggy day across the area. It might have not have rained the entire time, but you certainly had clouds out there pretty much the entire time. And ultimately, the forecast kind of did pretty well. I was a little worried earlier on in the day, Chris. We were keeping an eye on the rainfall totals as they tacked up through the radar, and I thought we overshot things a bit, but as that second round moved through, we ultimately picked up anywhere from around 0.2 of an inch of rainfall to upwards of an inch right along the 231 corridor, South Walton, some hot spots in and around the bays through Bay County as well. The last batch of rainfall working its way towards the east right now. You see it tracing 231 up to Youngstown, some extra rainfall through northern Calhoun County, and then Grand Ridge, Sneeds, and up into southwest Georgia. That last little band moving on through, seeing it wrap up as well too, through Wakulla County. A little bit of light rainfall just moved offshore through Island, and Alligator Point should be drying out here in just a moment. So thin little 10-minute batch of rainfall still to get through here. Things are starting to move a little more quickly as you see that rain lighten up through Grand Ridge over towards Chattahoochee there. Pretty much dry once that moves through. We'll see the wind shift if they haven't already, and temperatures will drop once this slides off to the east of your location. So that batch continues across I-10 towards the 75 corridor through central and northern Florida. For us, the headlines start with the cold, but the long-range trend is going to be something you certainly like in the forecast. Friday through the weekend, temperatures, of course, on the rise, and the long-range forecast looks pretty warm too. Things, at least through the first half of February, trending in that direction. As far as tonight goes, temperatures back down into the 30s early tomorrow morning, mid-30s across most of the area. It will be breezy as well behind this cold front. Not so much tonight, but certainly tomorrow afternoon. You've got a 10 to 15 mile per hour wind out there. Could see a couple of gusts upwards of 20 miles per hour. So the wind chill going to be in and around the area as you get through the morning and after the sunset tomorrow night, which is about the time frame wind should back off initially, and you'll see by Friday morning already a little more of an onshore wind, at least in the western panhandle. Look here. You're starting to see that through Destin and Pensacola, across many inland areas along I-10. It's a southwesterly flow, so it's not going to be something we see stick around for a while here. You'll see a little bit more of a moisture return and generally an influence for slightly warmer temperatures by Friday night into Saturday morning. Before we get there, though, tomorrow morning's low temperatures between 34 and 36 inland, wind chills probably upper 20s, low 30s. At the coast, you're much closer to 40 degrees, but still a cool start as well, considering that wind of 10 to 15. You'll have wind chills out there that'll have the kids bundling up as they get out to the bus stop. By the afternoon hours, the lower 50s, certainly tolerable, although cooler than average. Highs get as warm as 55 in Panama City, same in Sopchoppy, but you get down to 52 in Defuniak Springs or Mariana, and then the bottom drops out for the lowest temperatures. Friday morning, We're not looking at a hard freeze here, but upper 20s, lower 30s, certainly cold enough to be a freeze across many of those locations. And I'll send it to you, Chris, because I don't know what's going on with my voice. I must have a frog stuck in my throat, but we'll be still pretty mild comparatively towards the coast.
Well, the good news is, Dan, is you could just walk a few feet and go to the kitchen, get some water, come back, and if you want to finish up the 7-day forecast, you're certainly welcome to. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what's happening with those temperatures as we head through the night tonight. We're going to see temperatures dropping down. Tomorrow night, into Friday morning, into the upper 20s to lower 30s. So not a hard freeze. People, pets, plants, pipes you don't need to worry about. Coastal locations will stay above freezing, so you don't have to worry about that. Let's kind of pin it down here and show you. Now, the one thing when Dan showed you in the first segment that the wind chill would be a bit of an issue tomorrow morning in that it was about 5 to 10 degrees colder than the air temperature. Notice Friday morning, though, we're not as cold. The air temperature and the feels like temperature are about the same, so winds will be pretty calm. But from Jay to Gulf Breeze will be about a 10-degree difference as you get down there along the water. As you move through South Walton, you'll be into the upper 30s to lower 40s. And then as you move inland, though, towards Bayou, Georgia at 31, 32 in Southport, and 30 degrees up there towards the Sandhills. Meanwhile, over into Weewa, you'll be at about 30 degrees, but St. George and Cape into the low to mid 40s. So you see the discrepancy between the coast and inland areas, but regardless, it will be chilly for all of us on Friday morning, and that will be the coldest part of this cold spell. But as I mentioned, once we get through your Friday morning, the warm up is on, and we should be into the 60s through the weekend, maybe 70 by the end of the weekend, start of next week. High temperatures Friday will be into the 60s, so looking pretty good there. Now, we widen out the picture again. We've had cold weather across the eastern part of the country. Even today, we stayed into the low 60s because of the clouds and the rainfall. We didn't make much progress, which is still a little bit below average. The warmer weather is out there across the western part of the United States, and not just a little bit warmer, quite a bit warmer. As you look out on Thursday, it's warm out west from Rapid City to Billings, where temperatures will be 25 to 30 degrees above average. Now, the good news is this warm weather will begin to spill over into our neck of the woods as we head into next week. Maybe not 25 to 30 degrees above average, but it certainly will be warmer with above average temperatures expected through the extended forecast period. Meanwhile, the flip to that warm weather out west is dangerous wind chills into the northeastern part of the United States, where it feels like temperatures could be down into the sub-0 degree range with single digits, down into even parts of the south, over into eastern parts of Tennessee and western North Carolina. Our weather had the moisture streaming in across our area today, so relatively speaking, it was on the milder side with that chance of rainfall. That moisture gets pushed down to the south across the peninsula tomorrow, and we begin the drying out process as that moisture begins to retreat down to the south. Now, as we look at rainfall chances, you're going to be hard-pressed to find anything, so it was good that some of us picked upwards of a ½ inch to an inch of rainfall, because as we move through the weekend into next week, very little rainfall is going to be into the forecast. And you'll see that with our front and clouds beginning to exit. We should see plenty of sunshine over the coming days, maybe a few clouds from time to time, but we're looking pretty good as we make our way on through your Friday and Saturday. High pressure builds in. As that high nudges its nose to the south, that kind of opens up the Gulf, and I think that's when we start to see that warming process with moisture returning from the Gulf as we head into the start of next week. But this weekend, not too shabby. Mid to upper 60s, sunny skies across our region. You see a north wind on Saturday, but then we start to get that south-southwest wind, and that begins that warming process across our area. So there goes our trough of low pressure swinging to the east. Here's what we're talking about. You see this bubble in yellow? This is a ridge of high pressure, sinking air underneath that. Also, that compresses that air, which heats it up, which allows for temperatures by next week to hopefully get into the 70s. It'll be a little stir Tuesday, Wednesday, and you saw that with that 10% chance that will kind of swing through and maybe bring us that small chance of rainfall. But the general trend is this bubble to hold firm, at least for the time being, keeping the colder weather out west and well north of our region. So when we talk about Mardi Gras on Friday, it'll be a little bit breezy, but temperatures will also be on the cool side, but that's the shorter of the 2 days. As you head into Saturday, the full meal deal is underway, and starting at 10 o'clock in the morning through 10 o'clock in the evening, there's stuff going on, and we'll see temperatures into the mid 60s, so you're gonna be hard pressed to do much better than that, and certainly better than what they had to deal with last weekend over at the beach for their festival. Meanwhile, the Camellia Festival is Saturday from 10 until 2 over at Eden Garden State Park in Point Washington. You'll see temperatures into the 60s with sunny skies there, and Dan's and my favorite, the Golden Retriever meetup on Saturday at Golf Place looks much better. Temperatures there into the low 60s. You see that warmer weather across the central part of the United States. You want to take it away and finish this out? I'll let you take the good news with the warm.
I think it's only fair.
Okay, go.
I sound better.
There you go.
There we go. We have, of course, all been very eager for warmer temperatures to return to the forecast. And, of course, we have some of that this weekend, but then you start looking at long-range trends, and we'll get kind of deeper into that consistently with less of these sort of repetitive fronts that reset things shortly after a brief warm-up. The 6 to 10-day outlook here, which is generally looking at some of the upper-level parts of the atmosphere. And what do the patterns look like? Well, it looks like a ridge over the central part of the country, and we of course benefit from that with warmer than average temperatures. There's a pretty high confidence in that right now, above 60% confidence in seeing temperatures on the warmer side of things from February 10th to the 14th. And now you stretch things out to the February 12th to the 18th, the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and you still have what looks to be a generally favorable jet pattern for warm temperatures right here. Very high confidence in that as we get through the middle of this month, where temperatures will feel much more like the winter of weekends past. We should see things generally more benign during that time frame. As you look at the 7-day forecast, in fact, we really just have this cool down on the horizon, and that's not to say there won't be more fronts as winter continues, but the general trend through your 7-day forecast is one of warmth, starting with this weekend into the mid-60s along the coast. Low temperatures still bounce around through the 40s before returning to the 50s by Tuesday. Your 7-day forecast too, that's looking pretty good. You'll notice temperatures back into the 70s by Monday. A few spots on Sunday could get close. And by the middle of next week, we're basically looking area-wide at high temperatures inside of the 70s, perhaps as warm as 76 degrees with lows in the 50s too. And as Chris mentioned, that'll be probably around the time frame that folks will be getting a little stir-crazy for spring. But I do want to caution folks, Chris, we're probably not done with winter yet. History says it's probably around mid-March before our final freeze as far as temperatures go, but certainly a welcome sign to see a continued trend of warmth for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not done by any stretch, but you know, it's good to at least see signs of hope. And our friend Martin there with Try Grunt. Speaking of which, I owe you a return email, Martin. I have not forgotten, I promise. But he's hoping for some better weather. What I'll tell you is through Friday, I just did a boating forecast update. Wasn't looking good through Friday because that northwest wind is going to have things churned up. And then Friday we get into a west wind, which actually warms us up a little bit, but it's coming in off the water from the west. And so I think that's going to keep things kind of churned up. We'll see if we can't get things settled down a little bit for you, Martin, this weekend. But the weather will be good. I'm just not convinced that the boating is going to be like where you want it to be, at least not yet.
Better weather's on the horizon. I'd love to have Doug Hetty on this at some point, Chris. Maybe like early next week.
Yeah.
We were on the phone for a while last night talking about like the pattern. Doug's an expert in long-range weather prediction and kind of identifying patterns in the atmosphere, how things might repeat as far as the jet stream's overall shape and structure from different times throughout winter and spring. And Doug thinks that we're getting into a pretty quiet period of weather here, kind of a repeat of the second half of November through December is now coming back around. So it might not be until like, at least for his area, Joplin, Missouri, it might not be until April before they really get active weather underway. And for us, of course, that would mean some generally dry conditions would kind of become a problem once again.
There you go. Well, fascinating. Yeah, the long range stuff is really, really interesting stuff. And like at first, like you're like, I don't know, but like, and when we say long range, we're not necessarily like talking about super long range, but we're talking about like, well, how far does he go out? He can go out like, I mean, months. It just depends on
Yeah, but it's
not like we're talking years or anything like that.
no. It's maybe half a year maximum, but it's not exact forecasting. Like everything we do is not an exact science, but in his case, it's a seasonal outlook as far as like these are weeks where things could be on the active side. You'd expect clouds and rainfall and maybe severe weather. And then he's like, here are some weeks that we're going to be in generally a high pressure pattern in this part of the country. And the weather's going to be quiet. And when you kind of dial things back to that big picture view, looking at long waves in the atmosphere, it certainly can be a little more reliable, especially when you keep things generic.
Yes. But that will be something, we look at. Now, he did, hold on, what was it? Was it the snow or was it the severe weather that he had kind of sniffed out?
Our snow event, he had called it on like the week between Christmas and New Year's. We talked on the phone about it. He's like, that's going to be, there was a low in the Gulf in like November and it's coming back around and you could have snow. And so like 3 weeks later, sure enough. It's pretty cool.
Well, we'll definitely get him on at some point because it's interesting stuff. You can find him on Doug Heady Weather. He does a segment. Is it every Tuesday is his segment? Now it's going to be like a little focused more towards Joplin, Missouri and not here, but like we could get him on here to talk about it.
He's not doing anything right now. He said he was going to the gym and then getting drinks afterwards. So he's got time in the evening.
I have yet to figure out, Doug, like we've been doing this for like 6 months and like, Doug playing flag football in the snow and going out for drinks.
I think we're just doing it wrong.
We clearly are. Well, everyone have...
That'll do it for us.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'll let you take it.
Everyone have a wonderful evening. Cooler air will be here by morning. Don't be fooled. And it's going to be chilly tomorrow, so it's going to be like long sleeves and jackets pretty much all day, despite the fact we'll see sunshine. But I promise, Friday, Saturday, Sunday looking much, much better.
Bring you the most popular cars in the world, like the stylish Camry and